Welcome to Basement Sessions, June 15th, 2013. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about is, you've seen the Xbox One, right? The thing that bugs me the most is the used game thing.
The government's not going to spy on you guys. Get over it.
Let Mark get his be the one pro Xbox One guy, get his rant out of the way first.
Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
I think everyone's overreacting. That's all.
I don't know about this Hitler guy, but I think you guys are overreacting.
No, I really think that's what everyone's overreacting and jumping ship way too early. It got released. Information got released a month ago. It's released in November. Yeah, but all the information got released a month ago.
Yeah, but they also covered it again in E3.
I understand that. That was yesterday and 2 days before and the other day before that. What I'm trying to say.
They're not going to change it because it's going to take too much money to change it.
No,
right
if
now.
some people
Maybe in a couple of years when they've gotten the money from the revenue from the new.
Well, here's the thing. They did have E3s, and they've gotten until November. Do you think they're going to fix anything?
I doubt
No,
it.
they're a corporation. They never listen to people's concerns. That never happens. Like Facebook.
Especially
no
coming
one
from
likes
Microsoft.
no one likes what's it called timeline. No one likes that, and they haven't changed it.
You can't speak for the majority or the minority because not everybody hates change. Look, we have Obama, and look what happened.
So,
There's a big change. It's a big fuck up, but it's a big change.
Do you see how Obama's going? No. How do you see how Obama's going? It's not working too well. Healthcare.
well, I don't know, but the thing that definitely bugged me the most was used games. I mean, I only buy used games unless it's something I really want. Like, the Halo games, I buy them new. Yeah, the stuff that I really want, I buy new. But most of the time, I'm buying used games.
But the thing is, they're not used games. They're still going to be used games. It's just going to be a little different. It was perfectly said over E3 that used games is going to be possible. It's just not going to be. It's going to be a little different.
Okay, possible, yet
It's
different could be bad.
They're not
Why
stupid
is
enough.
it different? Why is it so
Because of the cloud bullshit.
I don't think the cloud technology thing is really necessary because it doesn't really. What's it supposed to do? Shorten load times, reduce stress. My thing with the used games is I can't. It's not. It's more the concept of I don't have a physical media anymore, which kind of pisses me off. And there's a certain amount of time that the Xbox games are going to exist because once they're no longer fully supported, which is going to happen, like I can't play Halo 2 multiplayer anymore, but I can still play Halo 2. In 15 years, I'm not going to be able to play that game anymore unless I buy the digital version of whatever console's up there, and I do that every 10 years forever.
Yeah, that's the worst part. I definitely prefer having a physical copy. I don't mind that. I don't mind having digital copies. Like I definitely do have some games that are digital copies, but I like being able to buy and sell games between friends.
I had a light bulb. Now you said used games. Now they're getting rid of all games and all copies, so you have to be digital. So how is it going to be used? Are you going to download it from someone else's Xbox?
It's kind of like computer. Ever play a computer game where you put in the code and when you put the code in, it enables you to play the game, but if you bring it to someone else's, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
What's gonna happen is you put the disc in, it's gonna take the code that's on your Xbox, it's gonna put it back on the disc. When you sell it back to GameStop, they give it to the new player. And
Yeah, but here's the deal, though. They're cutting out the middleman and making no more discs. That's the
They're
problem.
still making,
No, they're not. They're cutting out the whole point of it was that because of Minecraft and that big disco
loves
boom
Minecraft.
for that.
It's awesome.
That game is horrible. Because no, it's not. It was good on the computer back in the 1990s, and we should have left it there. But
I like this guy.
I'm sorry. I like change. I don't like change. I really don't give a shit. What stays in the 90s stays in the 90s. Like the 80s dies in the 80s.
I love-
in the 80s.
But I met this man tonight, and I already loved him.
But it's just the point that they're cutting out all discs, so you have to rent. So you have to download the game, and if you want to go to your friend's house and play the game, you have to pay a fee. You already paid $60. Why the hell you have to pay a fee?
After everything you just said, all I heard was Microsoft is becoming EA.
Yeah, basically. But
but EA still sells discs for SimCity 5.
EA also ruins things I like.
EA also
makes
causes a
sense
lot of
too.
things to crash and causes a lot of people
Well,
to
yeah.
lose their hair.
I mean, it makes things too.
And at this point, it's going to commit murder.
At least EA has the decency to have discs. I mean, I am perfectly fine with digital downloads. In fact, I prefer them myself.
So do I.
But there should be an existing physical copy. So, first of all, it's really annoying to have
We
to download.
should have an option.
Yeah,
Would
exactly.
you like to go A or B? It's like the Matrix, the red pill or the blue pill, A or B.
All right, let's see. When I played World of Warcraft,
You know,
I played
the-
World of Warcraft, I had all the CDs for it. And I liked having the CDs because I don't want to have my computer on for 5 days just to download every single
But now,
thing.
what happens if you get a glitch and something really fucks up?
And
Do
then
you
I have
get
to
your,
download it again.
Again, but you get your
Exactly.
money
It's
back in
horrible.
case something happens?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
You definitely do.
Yeah.
Now, with Xbox, because we all know how Microsoft and the geniuses that work behind Microsoft,
Yeah.
you might say geniuses with quotations. Now, what happens, like, even with game demos or even just regular games, you download off for, like, the Xbox, and you either get a glitch or something wrong happens or your Xbox just for some odd reason went... Then what? And then let's say now you have the Xbox 4. I'm sorry, Xbox, hear me, Xbox. You have the X1. You finally get it. You wait online for God knows how long. 2, 3, 4 months down the line, maybe a year down the line, you download a game. There's always going to be a bug and something's always going to crash, and then Microsoft is going to come on doing a press conference like it's Obama or the first lady, and then your Xbox goes, yeah. But how many times does the hard drive go?
The hard drive doesn't go in Xboxes. It's usually the heating system. And it overheats.
What happens though if my console breaks and all the keys are for that console?
Yeah, that's the worst part. I mean,
I'm not trying to say. I'm just saying what I've read.
the
about
one
it.
thing that they could do that Apple did that I do like is if I buy something on my Apple iTunes account, I can download it on any Apple device.
Yeah,
That's
because you
cool.
have your cloud.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
have
it's
your Apple ID.
it's your Apple ID.
Yeah, it's the problem is Microsoft. They're just the problem.
I like how you said that like Ancient Aliens, Microsoft.
Well, I understand what he's saying because they have a tendency to think things are smart when they fail miserably. Because the Zune used to be a thing.
Zune? Did we just hear a Zune spotting over here? Next thing you're going to talk about the Nokia N-Gage. They were just not popular. It's not like the N-Gage where they were...
More, and it was like $30 more and 80% of the functionality.
Yeah, they are durable as shit. I sent mine through like a washing machine 3 times.
Mine went out the window of Jersey Church.
I thought you said they were adorable as shit. Like they were cute.
It's not a Tamagotchi.
Oh, God.
I'd love to have a Tamagotchi again. I don't want
All right.
an iPhone. I want a Tamagotchi. Like the handheld little beady ass device that I can walk around with.
Thomas's nickname for me, because I give nicknames for everybody, especially when you come into my... His nickname is Thomas Aquinas. If anybody seen the movie Kindergarten Cop?
Oh yeah. Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah. You know when he's like, it's a Thomas Aquinas. That's Tom. I don't know them.
My nickname for Tom is Tom Tom.
You did pretty decent Arnold Schwarzenegger, I will tell you that much.
You do better than
That's
Tom.
pretty good.
That came up because Tom was in the car with me, and I said, Tom, where do I go? And he said, I don't know. And I said, you're a failure, Tom. Throw you out the window.
Yeah, they made that joke in a Doctor Who episode.
I don't watch Doctor Who.
And that's why you're a bad person.
Yeah, I'm gonna
I don't know anything about it. Not my fault. I've been watching 24
24 is actually a good show. I'll give you that much.
on Netflix.
Guess how many episodes there are in a season?
24.
There you
35.
go.
There's like 8 seasons. There's 196 episodes on Netflix.
My dad like practically worshipped that damn show.
Yeah.
Jack Bauer. He's the boss.
Yeah, my dad once just set it on at midnight and just had it on the TV the whole day.
That's pretty epic. I'm not gonna lie.
For a while.
Yeah, then it comes.
12 hours, then it's like, can you shut that shit off?
You sound like Pong. Did you see that Pong on the side of that building? I kind of want to play Pong on the side of a building. That sounds pretty awesome.
But,
It's electronic screens, not... You're an
Yeah,
idiot.
the screens were the buildings.
Pong.
Pong. You ever, for the what?
I think they also did like Space Invaders.
Yeah,
once.
what was it? The 50th anniversary of Atari. Well, it's not 50. It's probably longer than that. But they had
Atari?
Yeah, of Atari, and they had Pong.
Yeah, there's the 2 sticks with the
Yeah.
ball that's a cube.
Yeah, they had that. They had that on the side of buildings. I forget what city.
I don't know.
I think it was local. I think it was Philly, wasn't it? I don't. I might have been.
Philly is the only city that's ever dropped a bomb on its own citizens.
Philly? Yeah. Why did they drop a bomb on their own citizens?
1985.
Shut up, Dave.
Like, go first.
And that's for the buzzkill fact of the day.
Well, it happened.
So-
Dave.
Several people died. 80 billion. confirmed.
Dave, I think your segment of the show is just going to be
Like depressing facts.
the most depressing, horrible things you can find. You could dredge up on the internet because that's pretty much all you do.
horrible. That's
Not most horrible. Let's go with half that.
okay. So it's not a snuff film.
Not a snuff film.
Kind of the stuff in the film of the.
Well, should we explain what a snuff film is for the kiddies at home who
No.
don't know? Okay.
the film
If you don't know what a snuff film is, watch The Godfather.
It's like that, but real.
You'll learn.
That was the end.
Google it.
Yeah, Google it.
Google's your friend. So is Wikipedia.
And Bing is your enemy, especially when somehow Bing becomes the default browser for your Google Chrome.
So,
I don't understand the whole thing of Bing. I liked Google. What's Bing?
Bing sucks. Every time
It's-
I've used Bing, it seems like they don't come up with half the crap that Google comes up with.
They were actually proven they used Google search results like a fifth of the time.
So, it's
what's the
proxy
difference,
Google.
though? What's the whole use?
It-
Because I type in something in Bing and it's like I type in apples.
It
and I
has
get
more
shit about
pictures.
bananas.
It has more pictures. That's really the only difference. And that one's Microsoft's.
Bing,
It's
Bing's
it's
art
Microsoft.
department-
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense now.
If Google had Bing's art department for like that little splash screen they have at the beginning that they change each day, that would be great. But their search engine sucks.
Doesn't
So you would use a search engine because it has a splash of color.
No, I'm just saying like.
He's saying that's the one thing they got going for him.
Yeah.
did was today the day that or was I guess technically yesterday World War Z came out
I think it comes out next week.
next week? Oh, Superman.
Yeah, I'm gonna see that
Superman?
this weekend.
Supposedly it's pretty good.
Is it?
Tired of seeing movies.
Yeah. I was kind of bummed out by The Purge.
Supposedly this is the end. It's supposed to be pretty good too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know about this as the
What
end.
about Despicable Me 2?
Dude, the first one was amazing, and I
Yeah.
want to see the second one.
It
I
looks
actually
pretty good.
did not see the first
You
one.
should.
Oh, it's so fluffy. I want
My favorite. My
My
favorite.
little brother bought that as a ringtone.
What?
It's so fluffy. It's so fluffy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna die.
Firefighter test.
Yeah, he's actually a legit firefighter now.
Hey, he passed.
Yay!
Now that's a brave career. I find firefighters to be more braver than cops.
Especially if you're a volunteer and not getting paid for it.
Oh yeah, hell's yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm an
Yeah.
EMT, and you know what we do? We stand outside and let them do their work, and then when they come out hurt, that's when we do something.
Yeah, they're the buzzkills at the fire scenes. Like, no, you can't go back in. Stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, your blood pressure is 200 over 100, and your pulse is like 150. You gotta sit down.
You gotta die. Yeah, I don't know if other people agree with me, but I tend to cut firefighters and like soldiers and shit way more slack than cops when it like how they should act.
Construction workers die more often than both.
I don't know why. It's just something weird.
Yeah, but cops try to keep the problem away and like just like yellow tape the situations where firefighters they run into danger, run into actual burning buildings.
Yeah, shit
to
got
a point
real.
Where they could run in and never run back out, and they don't know what kind of damage or danger they're in until once they're in.
Yeah.
Where it's cops, if they know if there's pulling out a thug and he pulls out a gun, well, you know where to go. You hide behind the car. Start shooting. You call the ambulance because, like, let's say someone's dying of a heart attack.
Yeah.
You get the cops, you get the firemen, you get the.
Don't come out.
I have a lot of firemen come to the house every time I call
Well,
for my
it's
father.
It depends. The city.
Then you have the EMS who can't do nothing, and then you have the EMT who come later on to take
EMS
everything and
and
take it to the
EMT are
hospital.
the same thing.
New York is different. EMS and EMT.
Well, usually in cities, the firefighters.
Okay, now I'm talking
run
about
the same-
now Maple Shade.
Right.
Called the cops because my father fell and he had a seizure. I had the police.
Right.
I had two people that were from the fire department but work like EMT fire department.
Right.
Then I had EMS
Right.
who came in to assess the situation. Resulted in getting assessed because he was twitching on the floor.
Right.
And then 7 minutes, 10 minutes later, EMT shows up to take my father.
EMS and EMTs do the same thing.
Don't
Yeah,
they only
for-
do that
yeah,
like
for-
when all the institutions come in when like they don't Like, say you call the 911, and you're like, well, we need police officers here because someone got shot, and then they would bring in.
I said my father had a seizure and he fell and he hit his head.
Well, did you call?
You know, I don't know.
Did you call the 911 dispatch, or did you call for a police officer?
I called 911 dispatch. What do I call a police officer for?
But you said you called a police officer.
No,
Oh,
I said
he-
call
he-
911. A police officer came.
Yeah, he said he called.
I
911.
think what's supposed to
Depends on
happen.
what town, because I know with the calls in our town, cops do show up, but
I
half
think
of them
what's-
just stand there and get information.
That's what they stand there and they're like, oh, what happened? I told them, like, are you
Well,
are you EMT or EMS? No.
Policemen actually are EMTs, so they can actually help you before we actually get there.
I think what
yeah,
happened.
that's I think that all cops should have at least some first aid training. Did you hear in the news a woman killed her boyfriend with stilettos?
Wait, like stepped on her or like stabbed her?
Stabbed him with stilettos. No, stiletto heels.
Stiletto heel?
Like Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, when she threw her stiletto heel and got the guy stuck in the middle of the forehead. Oh my God,
I guess. I mean, like he was stabbed 30 times, I think, with a stiletto. I don't know if that number's. I think it was
I've heard it.
okay,
like 20 or 30.
so she's a Lizzie Borden with a stiletto.
I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Well, Lizzie Borden had an axe. She gave her mother 40 women.
Anyway, in other news, this week,
Hard
6:15 on Saturday, we're looking for a high of 81 and a low of 59. It's going to be sunny, partly cloudy. Sunday, it's going to be looks like thunderstorms with a high 81, low of 64. Monday is going to be cloudy, high of 84, low of 66. Tuesday, high of 81, low of 61, and that's going to be thunderstorms. And Wednesday, high of 79, low of 55. So if you actually do follow the podcast, well, I'm not exactly sure what format I'm going to go with. I might actually go with YouTube for the first couple episodes just for the ease of it. If you actually follow it, we're going to give you some basic updates throughout the week. So if you do keep up with the show, you get some nice local news. And if you don't, you skip that part.
Meteorologist, the only job where you can get wrong and still get paid.
You're
Yeah,
a
it's the best
professional
part.
guesser.
In other news, every topic I have is like completely crap.
All right, how about this then? All right, did you see the new Cheerios commercial?
Yes,
And all the
I
the
actually
shitstorm about
like
it?
that Cheerios commercial. Later, Mario.
I'm sorry for the people.
A little bit of context.
Mario and Tom are leaving. I love you both.
Goodbye.
If I was gay, I'd love those two men more than I do now.
For all those
That
who
was being
haven't seen,
polite.
okay, going back to the Cheerios commercial. For all those who don't know, please reiterate to us what exactly the controversy is.
For a second, Dave, have you seen the commercial? Yeah. You haven't seen the commercial? Well, the commercial is basically a woman is sitting at a kitchen table, and I believe she has a bowl of Cheerios, and her daughter comes up to. I'm not gonna say why it's controversial just yet. I'm just gonna give the plot of
Okay.
the entire commercial. Comes up and asks her, are Cheerios good for your heart? The mother says, yeah, Cheerios are good for your heart. So she goes, and the next scene is her father waking up, and he's got Cheerios dumped all over his chest. So it's kind of cute. You know, pour Cheerios on the heart, good for your heart. Makes sense. Now, the controversy comes from the fact that it's a multiracial family. It's a mixed family. The
Yeah.
so I'm
fathers-
guessing the controversy is out of Mississippi and Alabama.
I've heard it's all over, really.
Yeah, it's
No, the controversy is that people are bugged by the fact that the girl has a black father and a white mother, and she's half and half. Or 60-40, I don't know.
You don't know what you call
The
mixed
logistics.
babies? They're called tomorrow babies. Wait, what's that show? What show was that? Was it Shameless?
Shameless, yeah.
Wait, no, future babies or tomorrow babies?
I always said the wrong one, and you corrected me. I don't remember which one it is.
In the future, we're all going to look like Tiger Woods anyway.
Except Japan with a homogeny.
I don't know. I just thought it was funny because it was freaking out, and it's kind of weird from my perspective because my dad used to talk about it. Now he's like interracial couples being a thing now because he's like when I was dating your mother, it was like the only one I knew, and it's kind of weird watching it on TV because then you notice that you didn't notice it before.
Yeah, I think that's like the biggest thing is you're just not used to it, and like Mark said about the whole Microsoft thing, people don't tend to like change.
It's kind of like they had a couple commercials, or like there was like a yogurt one I remember, a chain where there was a couple in it and they were lesbians, and people freaked out.
Yeah, I actually never saw that commercial.
And they had an edit for it, and all the edit is they take out the word honey.
Yeah,
because she's like doing some weird yoga thing, and it's like, haha, she got stuck in some weird ass position. Can you go get me the yogurt? Because it's some health. They're pretending it's some health food.
it's kind of like how Sailor Moon, how they two of them were a lesbian couple,
Yeah.
and they made them out to be sisters, which actually made a lot of scenes really weird.
That made it way weirder.
Yeah.
Because
No.
you're like, I saw there was a comic, and it perfectly. And it's just like, it's a little girl and her mom, and she's like, oh, those little, the little girl's like, oh, those two girls love each other, and she's like, no, they're cousins, and they start making out, and she's like, are you sure? Yeah, they're cousins.
That's how cousins love in Alabama.
Which I think it's.
I'm sorry, Alabama. Not
I
really.
saw this one thing. It was really funny because I was reading one thing and people were freaking about.
Speaking of Alabama and incest, have you seen that one college championship T-shirt with
No.
Notre Dame versus Alabama State, Christian versus Cousins?
It has. That's good.
Yeah, there are no stereotypes in this country.
Yeah, not at all. But someone was like, well, how am I going to explain to my kids having like gay characters in shows or something? Because they were talking about like, I don't want my kid watching Glee or something. And if your answer is because it's a bad show, I'm like, all right, well, okay. But then someone was like, when I was a kid, I watched a show where it had a cross-dressing transvestite Satan, and that was okay. They should have
You mean
pictured
Bugs Bunny?
him from the Powerpuff Girls.
Yeah.
I'm just like, yeah, no, I mean, I thought it was weird, but
Yeah, I never just. I kind of just blew it off, I guess, but I never really understood him. But
Well, you weren't supposed to.
yeah, I
No,
get that about it.
Him
but-
as Cthulhu's like
Yeah, but-
lesser form.
No. I looked it up, and originally, like when because that and SpongeBob for some reason had like a more adult version. It was pretty obvious that him's original name was Satan Claus because he has that like weird Santa Claus vibe because he has the belt and he has like the little garter.
Yeah, I didn't know if that was like a tutu or like.
Yeah, because
Santa
they
Claus
look at the
Grinch.
original art and it's like,
I have no
He has,
fucking
like,
clue what you guys are
lobster
talking about.
you don't know about Powerpuff Girls?
I know what Powerpuff Girls, but I can't remember characters from the Powerpuff.
It was the weird
The guy that looked like Satan with
who
lobster
had the
claws.
echo voice.
No. You want to know if you remember Powerpuff Girls? Butters, Blossom, Buttercup. They were fun.
You can't even say Buttercup, right?
Buttercup. Oh, but there are too many B's.
You really don't remember anything about that show?
Well, we know you're not.
There's actually one episode I remember because there was a mime and he was turning the whole city black and white.
Save the world through the power of song.
That was
Oh, that freaking bitch!
they actually had a couple.
I didn't know.
Pretty good
I just thought
episodes.
she was an evil devil
Well,
girl.
it's
Him.
Well, it's him.
The Sandman one was kind of bugged me when I was. I guess I was like 10 years old or probably younger than that, probably like 7 or 8, and like watching the Sandman episode at like 2 in the morning, and they had that weird track that like, and it kind of
Playing-
like put my head.
Playing Fear at night is bad.
Yeah, I played
Don't do it.
Fear the first time at like
Don't do
3
it.
in the morning, and I got through like the first mission. And I was like, "Yo, fuck this game, I'm done."
You want to know what's a bad idea? It was like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I got like a stint of me just watching YouTube videos, and I got to Courage the Cowardly Dog, and I fell asleep to a
slab.
10-hour video of Freaky Fred.
Oh, Freaky Fred.
That was not a
gotta
nice
be
guy to
my
sleep.
favorite
that's
episode.
not nice. That's not good. Not good.
Did
not
you
good, not
end
good.
up
Naughty.
Sean, you have been very naughty.
La, 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 la. That ending is so fucking disturbing. And that was a Y7 rating, so
Yeah.
like
He
One of
could be
those
a
other-
Batman villain.
That's one of those other shows that like you grew up as a kid going, "That's so awesome," and then you get older and go like, "Wow, that show is really fucked up."
It was funny because later in the episodes they had like a CG ending, and like that scared my littlest brother. I think he was like 4 at the time, where he would not watch TV during that half hour of programming in case that came on.
Which that
was
Fred
all
episode?
No, it's
The giant tiki monster?
no. Did you smell that episode? where,
Return
like,
the Slab.
No, the You're Not Perfect one, and it had that freaky CG fetus thing.
oh, at the end of it.
Oh yeah. That thing was fucking weird.
Yeah, he didn't watch TV that half hour. He's like, "What time is that on?" Like 6:30. Okay, I'm going outside.
Go into my room,
Yeah, but that hey, that's incentive to go outside. Good for him.
kids. Go outside more.
You thought that just They're not gonna do anything.
I don't care if he just breathes. At least he's getting fresh air.
Kids, go outside more, though. Go outside more.
It's called perfect or something.
Life before we had all video games and stuff like that was kind of nice when we used to go outside and bike around with
I
our
never
friends.
went outside. I was made fun of when I was a little kid. That's why I'm so violent.
Is that
now.
because you're overweight?
Yes, Mark. That's because I'm overweight. Fuck you.
Speaking of violence,
understand.
did you want to talk about MMA at all? Any good fights coming up?
The first real sport.
So there is one thing I wanted to touch on MMA. There is an event, I believe, tomorrow.
6:16 or 6:15.
Yeah. UFC.
Today.
The main event, I believe, is Rashad Evans versus Dan Henderson. The only thing I got to say about this is Rashad Evans has been looking mediocre these past couple fights.
Punch people.
What?
Punch people.
You punch people. Yes.
Kick people.
Yeah, the only two people who actually seem to give a shit about MMA. Well, not give a shit. I shouldn't say that. Yeah.
I just like watching people knocked out.
Yeah,
That's the best part.
I mean, I shouldn't say that, but
It's like NASCAR.
You wanna do a little bit of research on your phone there for you? We'll come back to it.
well, no, not that I come back to it. I just pulled it up now.
It's like NASCAR. You only watch for the crashes.
I actually went to Pocono last
Rashad,
weekend.
the only thing I wanted to point out is that Rashad Evans has lost his last two fights to decision, and he's about to face Dan Henderson, who's lost his, I believe, only lost his last one fight, and he's been on a decent roll.
Bunch
Is
of
that
losers.
this year or?
Yeah, it's
Bunch
this
of
year
losers
and last
that
year.
keep losing.
Yeah, he's only lost one out of his last 5 fights, and he's actually been on a pretty good roll. But like Rashad Evans has been talking about dropping to middleweight to fight Anderson Silva, the guy up on my wall,
Badass.
the badass who's
he's
also
pretty
known
badass.
as the probably the best pound for pound fighter in the world. So, but he's been fighting these very mediocre fights. I don't know why.
Puss.
But I guess that's the only real thing I had to say.
But that's 6:15-13.
Yes.
Okay. I thought of this earlier today, and your opinion on Rob's opinion, anyway. Your view on RPGs and JRPGs, Japanese role-playing games and
Japanese role-playing games is in they're not real role-playing games?
Yeah. Like Fallout to you is a role-playing game.
It's a real role-playing game.
Fable, real role-playing game.
Sort of.
More or less. Well, yes. It's just not as good.
Sounds good. Not as
Skyrim.
good of a
You have choices.
Role-playing game.
role-playing game.
Zelda, not a role-playing game.
Not a role-playing game.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy, not role-playing game.
Not a role-playing game.
Like you have character classes, you have items,
You have
stats,
stat-building
that's it.
elements.
Well,
Like Borderlands is not an RPG.
here's
No.
There's no
Borderlands.
choices.
And I'll say that too. Borderlands is an RPG.
Being an RPG isn't a good thing. It's just a genre.
As RPG elements.
Like okay, Fallout.
All right.
Here's what I could do with Fallout.
If that by that I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
By that same definition, the UFC game is an RPG.
I mean, technically, in a sense, you could call the campaign mode an RPG.
Or let's
I guess
speak
I'm,
and then I'll
I'm
say
the
something.
one guy coming from a different perspective because for me, growing up on RPGs was JRPGs and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, like I played Final Fantasy and Zelda games when I was younger. I was more Nintendo than I was ever PlayStation or Xbox, and I think you were the same way, Sean.
Yeah, I didn't. The Xbox 360 was the first thing I actually, like the first real. I had an Xbox.
Yeah,
But I had an like that was it.
I
had an
never
Xbox.
had an Xbox. Xbox 360 I had.
Like here's where I draw the line when it comes to like my view of an RPG and other people's views of RPGs. Okay, let's say you take Fallout and Final Fantasy. Character creation. I know Final Fantasy usually has like pre-made characters. It doesn't always have to be that way. But it's, you get like you can be a black guy, you can be a white guy, you can be a demon, you can be an elf, whatever. It doesn't matter. Like you can be a wizard, you can be a guy who uses a rocket launcher, you can specialize in things. But what's different between Fallout and Final Fantasy and all those other games, or Fallout or Skyrim, whatever, any of those types of games, I'm pretty sure people know what I'm talking about, is that let's say you go to a guy, he says, okay, I need you to save my daughter from the evil guy down the street. If I go out there, a JRPG like Final Fantasy will just have me kill him. That's the only thing you can do. You go in there, you kill him.
That actually depends.
It depends
You know what I mean,
heavily
right?
on the game.
Like there's one choice
I
and
don't-
it doesn't affect the ending.
I don't think
Hold on.
that you can consider that.
Okay, for you, what is
the
the
element?
thing that makes it an RPG?
Well, like when you're like, okay, I go down to save the princess from that evil guy. I could sacrifice princess to an evil god. I can save her. I can give her
So for
ability
you,
to
it's
save herself.
choices.
It's choices and the effects they have. Sometimes,
So-
like in Dragon Age 2, right?
Yeah.
Or Mass Effect 2, the choices don't have nowhere near the impact as that
Okay,
they had
if
in the other
Mass
games.
Effect 1,
Yeah.
there weren't any choices,
Mhm.
would you still consider it an RPG?
Technically,
You're given
in
John
terms of-
Shepard, he's an Earthborn, blah, blah, blah,
yeah,
blah, blah.
like, you have to play and he shoots
Yeah.
people. Technically, in video game legal terms, well, not legal, like genre making
Because-
terms, it is an RPG. But
I think it almost that's borderline RPG. That's between
Yeah.
RPG and just third
Like
person
that-
shooter like Gears of War.
like you could say, some people say really derogatory terms when it comes to Final Fantasy and other games like it, that they're interactive movies.
So, Robbie, do you consider a game like Final Fantasy as an RPG? Like, I'm curious on what you think it is. Then, if you say
No.
it isn't, what do you consider? What do you consider it then?
No one wants anything when he's done.
All right, how about something like, all right, something like Pokemon. Like you have hundreds of choices. You can pick different things. There are different
But they don't matter.
like.
But that's the way you would.
Yeah.
RPGs like
No,
such a
no.
broad term that it's kind of hard to classify. What
Here's
it
the
is.
thing.
Here's the
Yeah.
thing. You can give me the choices, and they don't matter because I'll give you kind of a good example on that.
Oh God, we're losing. I gotta turn into a demon.
Walking Dead.
Mm-hmm.
Walking
That's an
Dead,
RPG.
if you think about it in kind of an esoteric way, is an RPG in a small, weird way.
I definitely think that game is an RPG.
Yeah,
Just it's
like-
more like one of the text-based RPGs from.
It's like a
the
reverse
original.
Borderlands. It doesn't have the RPG elements, but it has
I would
real
actually
choices.
say the opposite. I wouldn't consider it an RPG and consider Borderlands more of an RPG.
Like it has stats, it has character building.
I consider the Walking.
Maybe they should just change the terms. Maybe they
Final
should-
Fantasy is a stat building storytelling game. To me, RPG is me investing. Like, first off,
Do I care about this character?
do I care about anyone in this universe? No. I don't give a shit about. Like, I played Final Fantasy VII. That was the only one that I got semi-intrigued in. I played. Yes, all you Final Fantasy nerds. Yes, this is the part where you're all gonna start hating me because I didn't like any of them.
Well,
What
here's
about? Oh, sorry. What about the earlier RPGs where you did get to pick your classes and you had you were given like 4 slates and you did what you want with them and
yeah, Final Fantasy 1.
Final Fantasy 1 through 3. You were given here are your 10 classes.
Fantasy 1 through 3,
Yeah.
actual 1 through
If you
Yeah,
actually
like
play
3
the one
is-
through,
that's
I
actually
have the one
4.
on my phone. But basically, what it is you get 4 characters. You level them up, but
And you
they
can
have
change
different
classes.
jobs where you can change classes depending on what. So you could have
Jobs are classes.
basically kind of
I'm
different
gonna be an
terms. Like
onion
in a
guy.
game I play on 3DS as the Fire Emblem games, where you have one class, you can move him to one class. It's I know, but I'm just
yeah,
saying.
but that's a yeah, it's like a different beast. to
But
me.
I'm just saying,
Like
but
that-
no, it's like I'm just comparing where you have one character and you get him to a certain level and you
Yeah.
can promote him to either blank this or blank that. That's what it is. You know what I mean? But with the original Final Fantasy games, each character can become whatever you want. So there isn't a person that's better as a magic class than
Here's
a warrior
the thing:
class.
is that when I think the term RPG, role-playing game, I don't think of classes. I don't think of stat building. I think of what my character says. What am I personally thinking? Okay, what does my character want to accomplish in this situation?
Maybe they should just have a different definition for
Here-
those games because there is a fundamental difference between
Like,
Final
I
Fantasy
remember
and
in
Skyrim.
Dragon Age, so many situations where I went, "What does this character want?" Because that game had no moral bar. Like all other BioWare, every other BioWare game had a moral point system. It had.
I don't really like those, honestly.
And that I completely understand. I'm actually starting to not like those. Like in Mass Effect, you had the whole Paragon Renegade. In
I do
the
like.
Empire, or way the open palm, way the closed fist.
Well,
Knights of the Old Republic,
Yes.
dark side, light side.
I like how Knights of the Old Republic really integrated that. I mean, the way. Yeah, dark side, light side. It was your powers. It affects the powers that you had. I think they did that very well.
The problem with Mass Effect, especially after the first one, is
It didn't matter.
Not that it didn't matter, is that you were forced to be Paragon Renegade. You can't be like, all right, I don't like aliens, but I like all the people on my crew. Like, you couldn't do that. There was only so many amount of points you could get, and you needed X amount of points to do the super hard dialogue options. And that means you have to always say Paragon options. You can't go like, all right, well, I don't like the Terminus military. Like, you couldn't do that. You had to always agree with them to be able to get enough points to go to the next check, to get to enough points to get to the next check.
Here's how I feel about the whole JRPGs versus RPGs. Is I view it more as like I view it like playing paper RPGs, table and dice. It's the strictness of the GM, whereas a JRPG has a really strict GM. He wants everything.
Yeah, people hate those guys.
It's on railroads.
Yeah,
basically.
it's on railroads. Things have to happen that way. But not all of them are like that, and there are a couple crossroads that you can go down, but most of it is very structured. It's more of a storytelling event. The GM wants to, show his storytelling prowess. And if you have a good story, that can be very entertaining.
Yeah.
I don't like
Just
Final
take the
Fantasy. I don't like Final Fantasy 7. I like Final Fantasy 6.
Agreed.
I think that was an excellent game, and it's got some different. It's got a couple crossroads in there that can affect the game. I don't think you've ever played Final Fantasy 6. I recommend you giving it a shot. I don't think you ever will, but
Don't be that
See,
biased.
I'm kind of confused for your perspective of, like, when you say RPG, you don't think of stats and stuff, because to me that's what an RPG is. Because if you take that out, you're acting.
Well, okay, guys, think about this.
So that's
I
what
think
makes it a thing.
I
What's
think
the
you like more the acting aspect.
I think there should be a term to differentiate games like Walking Dead, differentiate them between Final Fantasy
Well, yeah,
and games like.
there's a difference between RPG and a JRPG.
Hold on. Well, that's just a regional thing. That's called JRPG.
No, it's not even a regional thing. It's a completely different.
Yeah. I know, but there
Like, that's
should
like-
be. But there are Japanese RPGs that are like American RPGs in terms of your interactivity. Whereas Walking Dead has every part of the dialogue and all of the choices and everything that say Fallout, Dragon Age released the first
Because,
one, and Skyrim have, and all the Elder Scroll games. Because it has all that, but it doesn't have the stat building. Whereas Final Fantasy has all the stat building, and Borderlands 2 is kind of in the same boat if you think about it. But it doesn't have any of the social interaction.
Because
like Cloud
when you-
hates these people.
When you said being an RPG is like, what does this character think? That's sort of like saying anytime you play a game of superheroes and someone goes, all right, you're going to be Silver Age Superman. That's not an RPG anymore because the character already has a defined role and how they would react in the situation.
Yeah.
Well,
Like,
Because
okay,
I
what
this
makes
character would always do this,
Right.
Which is
What
which means
makes-
I can't be. If I played Batman and I took out an AK-47 and shot the Penguin in the face,
You're not Batman. You're Red Hood.
I wouldn't be in the game anymore. Like, get the
Right.
fuck out of my house. You're not taking this seriously.
Well, I have a question for you. Have you ever heard of or played Heavy Rain for the PlayStation 3? Now, what would you consider that? Because there's no stat building, there's nothing, but all the choices you make do affect the game.
I consider that, again, like The Walking Dead, in a very, very minuscule, esoteric way, an RPG. Now, I don't own a PS3, so I didn't play much of it.
Right.
I played it. It's a beautiful, great storytelling game. Sean, I believe you own it, correct? He's nodding his head yes. Doesn't have a mic. I took it away from him. Oh, here.
I would like to say that's the only game I've ever played that when someone says, I know it sucks now, but in 3 hours it gets really good. That's the only game I can actually say that because the first bit of it is it's you
supposed to be
petting the
sucky?
No. It's you petting a puppy, so you're sad when they steal your puppy. That's what it is. It's you being a dad, so you have some attachment when the kid gets taken and you have to do the weird salt trials to get him back.
I actually liked the beginning. I actually liked the beginning. Like, I liked being a dad. Like, I liked playing. I mean, I hit my kid in the face with the baseball the first time
Jesus.
I threw the ball too hard.
Fallout 3, I gotta shoot you, Dad, with this BB gun. I have
Okay.
Who doesn't shoot him with the BB gun?
Oh, I do it all the time.
There isn't a single dad that hasn't hit their kid with a baseball too hard because I throw it too
It's just
hard.
the American way.
Yeah, that's just being a dad. Yeah. Yeah. It's like, yeah, here you go, slugger. Look, Dad. Yeah, I mean, who hasn't gotten hit with baseball from their dad?
I got hit with a.
Dave, you barely go outside.
All right. Bro. Out of all the games you played, name the one game that you would say is the most RPG to your standard. If you pick one game,
Fallout 2. Specifically Fallout 2.
shut up with your Fallout bullshit. All you talk
I don't know.
All you talk about is Fallout.
The
You're talking about Fallout. It's good. It's fun. I do like.
But he did pick a good one.
I'm just asking because
the one
it's kind of the
that
thing is
hits my definition of RPG the most.
yeah.
I guess there are different scales. My favorite RPG of all time was Jade Empire.
I downloaded it for my Xbox 360.
That was probably my favorite RPG of all time because I put more hours into that RPG than any other RPG.
Even Mass Effect.
That's a series.
That's a series too.
Mass
That's the
Effect
multiplayer.
3.
Yeah, the multi.
Yeah, the multiplayer of Mass Effect 3 is actually fantastic. I bought the game, found a legendary edition used, bought it just to play the multiplayer.
Well, and multiplayer is awesome.
The multiplayer is
Rob,
freaking great.
yeah, you should
I
check
haven't
it
even
out.
played the storyline.
Too much. A little too much.
Hey,
like that.
fuck
A
you.
little-
Hey,
little
you're
too
just
much.
jealous of my N7 rank, motherfucker.
Because I
Get
have a-
on my level.
Because I have a job.
Well, see,
Yeah, you should play the story because that's a thing.
campaign mode on Mass Effect doesn't even
I
exist.
don't know how much time I put into any of the early Fallout games, but I know New Vegas right now clocks me at about 400 hours.
It's a fun game.
And I did accidentally delete it halfway through, so it's probably more
I
than
shit on that. I've calculated this. I have put 500 hours into Mass Effect 3 multiplayer alone. I have put an additional 200 hours into the Mass Effect 3 single player. I have put an additional 120 hours into the Mass Effect 2
You
single
say that
player.
was the weakest one out of all.
I have so many games that I actually
Mass
have
Effect
to
2?
play.
that. It's the weakest, but it's not bad.
It's not. No, yes. Yeah, that's my answer.
Like Dragon Age, Dragon Age 2 sucks. Never mind.
Mass Effect 3, some of its parts are the best parts in the series.
Except the last 5 minutes.
Other parts are
Kudos to you, Rob.
weird. I'd honestly say Mass Effect 1 is the best if they would remake that and fix shit like the inventory.
Right.
Yeah, that was a pain in the ass.
I mean, because that's a bitch. It's like
That's
you have
kinda-
37 polonium 8 rounds. You got to sell all 37 of them. But
yeah, it sucked.
You had to do it one by one.
Yeah,
But-
that's why my inventory is so
I
fucking
want
full.
to
It's
ask you
not
guys
even
a
funny.
quick question. You haven't played this Mass Effect storyline, but if all the DLC for Mass Effect 3 came out, it was on the disc when the game came out, how would you guys feel about not only like the series, but how about the ending?
We mean if the
If all the DLC,
So if
Well,
the
I know that the
if
ending
the
sucked.
extended cut, Leviathan, the Citadel DLC was all in
The
it.
thing is, you have to talk to me. Is I've never really got into the DLCs, so I don't really know much about them.
I wouldn't have cried myself to sleep. Is that an acceptable
Well,
answer?
well, here we go, guys.
Yeah, I wouldn't have nearly killed someone. I was ready to run towards the nearest living thing and
All
kill
right.
it when
well,
I
if
saw
we
that
give you the
original ending.
backstory on this, me and
Well-
Sean had gotten the game a month before Rob had because he's poor and he had to get it for his birthday. But I told him explicitly on these Friday nights, so we hung out, that you will love the whole game except for the last 5 minutes.
And I promised myself that I'd try to love it as
And
much as possible.
He did. He loves the game. He talks about it all day. The first time I actually came over here, we talked for Mass Effect for 4 hours.
Oh, you,
Poor Andrew. He doesn't. know
yeah.
anything about
The
it.
whole thing with
But-
the Chichanka part where you're with Morton, that's probably one of my favorite just
Parts,
gaming
the
arcs
parts.
ever.
But
Because how that resolves, all the options are awesome. Your choices always matter,
right.
and they're all good. I mean, some of them are terrible, in that universe,
Right. Oh.
but narratively are awesome.
Now, back to the RPGs versus. Well, yeah, go ahead.
But the reason why I know about Robbie's here is the night he finished the game, I was on my Xbox, and don't remember what I was doing, but all I do remember seeing, blah, 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 sent you a message. And I was like, Mr. Fufu sent me a message, and I looked at it, I was like, oh, what's this about? He's probably like saying when his, because if you know him, he'll send random messages out of nowhere. Like, kill the babies or something like that from Tiny Tina quote, but he'll do it because his phone goes off every single day. But all I saw was something in the words of, fuck this. And the funny part was I knew exactly what he was talking about.
Fuck this in more words.
In caps with exclamation points. And the funny part was I didn't even have to ask him what it was. I knew exactly what he was talking
There
about.
was 6 messages, and they were just explanation points. Back to the whole RPG thing, though. Here's where I agree with you in one set, in one game series specifically, and I think, Sean, you'll agree too, is Zelda is not an RPG.
No.
The Legend of Zelda is not an RPG.
The same way you play Halo.
It's an action-adventure game.
Yeah. It's not a bad thing.
No,
It's just- it's not
I'd
how
say
the game is.
adventure game.
It's I wouldn't call it like Halo. It's definitely it's because it's got side quests. Majora's Mask is closer to an RPG.
That game is like 70% side quests.
Yeah, that game's completely you can complete the
beat
main
the game
story.
in
So
3
it's
hours
like an
if
RPG
you really
the same way
wanted to.
that like Grand Theft Auto or Saints Row is. Like you have quests, you have things, you have items that you pick up.
It's
But
more
like-
about
Just less sandboxing.
Also, it's one of the more darker ones if you think about
Oh
it.
yeah, Majora's Mask is a creepy as hell game.
That's a 3 days one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
First of all, the transforming masks are like the souls of dead people.
Yeah, and if you when you do put on the mask, it's kind of horrifying to see the first time you put the mask
one thing
on.
that I even as a kid I noticed is that when you go back in time, it's not implying that you went back in time. It's implying that all these people died, and then you're trying it again.
Yeah.
Like that.
It's like hitting the redo button.
Yeah, definitely. Like my little brother, I would play this game, and my little brother watched. He actually liked playing Zelda. It's one of the more interesting games to actually watch. He hated the transformation sequences for the masks. Because
Link looks like he's physically in pain.
yeah, if you tap the button twice, you can skip it, and he every time he said hit it again, hit it again, hit it again. He did not want to see transformation
I
sequences.
think the most fucked up scene about that is when you get put the Deku one and you talk to the one butler guy, and he's like, "Oh, you remind me a lot of my son," blah blah blah. And he seems kind of bummed, and you're like, "Why?" Then you beat the game and you find out where you get the mask. He's praying at his son's fucking grave.
Yeah,
You're wearing the face of his dead kid.
yeah.
What the fuck?
It's people.
Yeah, like every mask that you get, someone died for you to get that mask.
I played them, but I don't recall the one game, so I can't.
Majora's
remember.
Mask.
I've heard of it, and
One of my favorite games.
And I actually was kind of like I said, I have a 3DS, and I was kind of flipping around on the Nintendo store, and they were selling like old school, like Zelda games for like $2.99.
They have what's it called?
Old games can have that effect. Okay.
Holy shit, this is online. I'm gonna go buy it.
Yeah.
All right. This is a wrap.
Yeah. The Basement Sessions, Episode 1, 6/15/13. Remember, everybody, nerd is the word.